Let's start with Massmart. Earlier in the week, we saw Shoprite also showing how hard this retail environment really is. Massmart, I see, slashing its dividend by 40%.
You know, that's not a nice sign, hence the market reacted the way it reacted. But I think, you know, we've been covering that the South African consumer is struggling, you know, costs are high back home here. But we tend to forget that even in Africa itself, you know, countries like Nigeria, Angola, they had to devalue their currencies. And that was also negative for the likes of your Shoprite and also for Massmart. And we know that as much as these companies, they try to move into Africa, it's not easy at all, you know. And that has been documented, you know, it's not only the retailers, even your likes of the telecoms, MTNs, stuff like that. So generally, for them, it's not looking okay. We had VAT issues here. We've got petrol prices going up, you know, high unemployment, and some competition from products which are not legalized, stuff like that. So it's not easy for all the retailers. And slashing dividends is not a good sign for any investor.
Where does that leave Massmart now with the strategy? I see a CEO, Guy Hayward, saying that they are not declaring an emergency, but there has to be a plan going forward.
By all means, and I think part of their plan is that a third of the new stores that they'll be opening, they hope to open that in Kenya and I think Zambia, stuff like that. So they realize that as much as I think they're making almost 93% of their revenues in South Africa, they have to start to diversify, even though it's not easy in Africa. And yes, and he did indicate that, listen, economic conditions are not looking okay, but, you know, we're getting negative signs that, you know what, things might continue to be like this for a foreseeable future. And I think as a company, you always have a plan B, meaning, fortunately, given that they're owned by Walmart, they've got a decent balance sheet. They should be able to go through this.
Let's see. Now, Santam looks like it's recovering, and I've just seen headline earnings per share increasing by 47%. The company's saying today that, you know, one of the good signs was the fact that fewer large commercial property and catastrophe claims coming up last year. So that's a good sign.
Very good sign. And I think for them to be able to continue to increase, you know, their premium growth, that's very critical. And if you're able to do that, increasing the premium growth and at the same time making sure that you get good returns from the market, that's positive. And we know these insurance companies, you have to start writing on more business, make sure that the markets are doing okay, because they take that money, those premiums, they invest that in the markets. If the market is doing okay, then they get good returns. And as we said, if there are no claims, then that's also a bonus. And also My Way as well managed to turn around and increase their premium writing as well.
All right, so the market was not happy with Blue Label Telecoms. I mean, what's that loss? 116 million rand for the 6 months ending November. And as I said, the market not liking this. We saw that share price. We'll bring it up in a moment. Look at that, 25% down for Blue Label Telecoms today.
And I think maybe from January last year, you know, to December last year, I think the share moved from just over 15 rand to just around 5 rand. And all because of this whole thing of them buying into Cell C. Because all we are saying is that, listen, you are trying to rescue Cell C. Cell C's got their own problems. They've got huge debt. They need serious capital injection. And by then they said, no, we've got a strategy. But yes, last week or so, they managed to get the Buffett Consortium to be involved. They're going to come in as a minority stake. And today, I think they also stated that we are looking for more of the likes of the Buffett Consortium to come and help us when it comes to this huge negative balance sheet of Cell C. Cell C is not just a third network provider by mistake. Is getting huge competition from the likes of your MTNs and Vodacom, and they still have a very long way to go. Hopefully, maybe that rumor that Telkom is trying to buy into them, maybe it might help if it happens. So we'll see. But it's all at the back of the Cell C issue that they had to put almost 5.2 or so billion rands into the company.
From a slump to a surge, and I talk about Impala Platinum here, it's good to see something good coming out of the mining industry here. And Impala Platinum now planning to build a palladium mine in 2021. Let's look at their share price. What do you make of what they were sent out today?
You know, for the year, I think the stock price is up almost 50%, meaning people realize that at the back of these palladium prices, which have been going up, I think from mid-August up to date, they've been up almost 83% palladium prices. So the PGM prices managed to help them. And like you said earlier, a weaker rand as well helped. And I think the guys were worried because today I think the decision had to be made by the courts whether AMCU can go on a secondary strike. That was going to have a huge negative effect when it comes to Rustenburg mines. For the fact that it has not been allowed, that's also another positive for them going forward. And it makes sense for them to start maybe looking at that. I hope they don't get in at high levels where prices are so high, demand is at that level, then to start investing into that mine. 2 years, 3 years down the line, then the market starts to stabilize, meaning the palladium sector starts to stabilize. Then you find that your investment was a wasted one. I'm saying that because we've seen that happening with the likes of the Anglo-American. When things are up there, that's when they start investing, instead of the other way around. When things are still at the bottom, you put in money, then you're able to grow, or right on the curve up until things are up there.
And there's already talk of a bubble in palladium anyway. The rand, you mentioned it in your last answer here. I mean, I never know how to phrase a question like this, because this has been a volatile currency indeed, perhaps the most volatile in the world. Now 14 rand 9 cents. We had the Reserve Bank governor. Many people said, listen, he may have acted too fast by hiking rates last year, at the end of last year. But he warned that this could happen with the behavior of the currency.
By all means, and I must accept, Devin, I'm one of those that I thought he was not supposed to hike. But given the volatility of the rand, because I think most of us had fixation on inflation, because inflation was behaving. But you are right. For the fact that we got negative numbers from China, the PM numbers, also the talks from one of the advisors when it comes from the US saying they're not going anywhere when it comes to trade talks. I think that way on what you call the risk, people started moving away. Then we saw the rand starting to weaken. And later in the day, we got good GDP numbers from the US. That was very positive for the dollar, and then hence the rand continued to weaken.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed, Makwe. Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers.